Hey there, it's Ian Smith, and this is Transition Thursday. Hey, crazy times, isn't it? With all the geopolitical issues around the world, started by our friends south of the border. Uh, Difficult time for business owners. I've got lots of business owner friends that are really struggling with what to do in this kind of environment. How do you plan? How do you create budgets? How do you plan investments, etc.? Definitely very, very difficult times. And as someone that's been involved in global businesses and worked overseas for a number of years, for many years, I truly believe that the globalization of the world economies has really helped billions of people around the world, whether that's workers in places like China and India, Mexico. Yes, they're making less than what we make in Canada or the United States, but they're making far more because of globalization than they would have. And it's not to say that we can't overlook some of the atrocities that happen in some of these workplaces. We still need to be aware of those sorts of things and work to find the best solution for workers. But I think what's happening now is the destruction of that global relationships. And I think that's going to cause ramifications, not just for those markets, but also for consumers in Canada and the US and Europe and elsewhere in the developed world. So crazy times for sure. I don't have an answer. I'm trying not to get too fixated on it. I don't have any real solutions at the moment, but I think every case has got to be different as business owners. But it's certainly going to be a difficult year if you're thinking of a transition of your business to new owners. And I mentioned this earlier this year, other than maybe management, selling to your management team. Transactions are going to be a little harder this year for any business that has cross-border implications. So it's a good time to be focused on what you can do within your company to build value, to strengthen your organizations, to make it more resilient, maybe to make it more international, maybe branch off and find new markets, find new customers, new suppliers, etc., to really strengthen your business. And as I've been talking the last few weeks about transferable value. So a lot of that is encompassed in transferable value. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, I said a couple weeks ago that I would talk about three things that my top three things that business owners can do to build that transitional value. And I want to talk about one today because I think it's so important. And that is to think like an owner. And it's like, what? I am an owner. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. They're one and the same. And yes, maybe it's semantics, but thinking like an owner elevates your role in the business from the entrepreneur that's thinking about new products and managing people and managing production and overseeing supplier relationships, etc. And it builds an organization where you have senior executives that really think outside of their functional area. So they're not just in production, they're not just in marketing, not just in finance, but they understand the implications of their decision making on the rest of the organization, and therefore they make better decisions. But it also frees you up to not be the glue that is the link that holds those pieces together. So I want to use an example today because I think it's a really powerful way to think about the implications of this when it comes time to transfer the business ownership of your company. So let's use Peter, a business owner in his mid-60s looking to sell his business. And Peter's this larger-than-life business owner, very gregarious, outspoken guy, very proud of the business that he's built. It's a sizable company. So when you go to meet with Peter at his company and you're invited into the boardroom, Peter sits at the end of the table and he holds court. And if you're meeting with his management team will sit on one side and you and your team will be on the other, and you have a discussion. But it's very clear that Peter is in control. He's the chair of those meetings, and most questions get directed to him. So imagine if the people across the table from his management team are a buyer group from Chicago or Toronto or somewhere else, and they've come to talk to the management team about buying the business. And they're asking questions about the budget, about CapEx, about new market opportunities, etc. And Peter answers each of them very effectively. He's very good at, because he understands every part of the business. But the management team gets to just chime in once in a while. So contrast that with Peter after 2 years of transition planning and building, thinking like an owner and building that executive management team. So now as M&A advisors, we would advise Peter to sit at the side of the table in the middle of his management team, maybe at the one side of the management team, and put some of the more important people, the general manager, the VP operations, in the middle. And then when a question is asked of Peter, tell us, Peter, about next year's budget. It seems like you've got some pretty strong growth projections. My advice to Peter would be, point to one of your management team that is most knowledgeable in that area and say, oh, that's a great question. My CFO has all the details there, and I'm sure he can provide it. And then boom, 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 the CFO can rattle some response off. Head of production or marketing can chime in as well. And Peter just takes a step back, lets them answer the question. Imagine the impression that has on a business owner or a buyer that's looking to buy your business when you are ultimately wanting to exit. And a lot of my clients will say, look, when I sell the business, I don't want to be somebody else's employee. I've been doing this for 20 years, 25 years. When I sell, I'm ready to move on. Well, that second example of Peter sitting with his team and letting his team answer the questions sets you up for success to leave your business under your terms when you're ready. It also means you have more competition for the business because it opens up the universe of buyers to buyers that don't want to run your business. They want to invest in the business, buy the business, and let it run itself. So thinking of private equity, maybe some family office type investors. So by building that management team, empowering them not just with responsibility but authority to make decisions and be able to speak freely about their area of expertise within the organization when talking to a buyer, presents a much stronger company to that universe of buyers. And so that in itself can create tremendous value. At the same time, hopefully that management team is thinking about new ways to improve production, new products to develop, new markets to enter, and they're paying for themselves more than the extra salaries that they're going to cost you. So think about that, because that to me is the number one way to improve the transferable value in your business. And if you've got this year or this crazy year to start putting those pieces in place, now's the time. So with that, I hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you next Thursday. Always would love more comments. I know that many hundreds of people see these videos. I'd love to get more comments. I get phone calls, which is interesting, or emails from people that know me that see these regularly, my LinkedIn friends and contacts. So please send me a note, let me know what you think, and I will see you next week. Thanks a lot.